What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. And it's now less than a week until Chelsea are back in action, and this international break has felt like forever. It's felt like ages since we played against Salzburg, and even longer since we played a Premier League game, but we are edging ever closer. And in today's video, I'm just going to be rounding up some of the Chelsea news that has broken over the weekend. So let's get straight into it then, guys. The future of Trevor Chalobah to kick things off then. Pretty much the same as it was back in the summer. He was close to leaving, then Chelsea changed their mind, and Fabrizio Romano reporting that Trevor Chalobah could once again leave in January. He's not happy with his playing time. He's only featured once this season, actually, against Leicester, where he started in a back four. But Trevor Chalobah could leave Chelsea in January. He's still hoping to play more, and I personally feel that he should be playing a lot more than he currently is. And that's why Chalobah could leave if nothing changes. Leipzig, Inter, and AC Milan were interested in the summer, but Chelsea decided to keep him. Now, I was pleased that obviously we decided to keep him in the summer. I think it would have been a mistake to let him go. But what's clear is that under Thomas Tuchel, he wasn't fancied this season. Obviously, he wasn't picked in Graham Potter's first game either, but neither was Wesley Fofana or Kalidou Koulibaly. But yeah, the future of Chalobah is an interesting one because he's still young, I think 22 years of age. Had a great season last season, a breakthrough season where I don't think any of us expected him to feature at all. And he played a number of games and played really well. There were a few mistakes in him towards the back end of the season, giving a few penalties away, making a few mistakes in games. So that's to be expected with the young player, but he had a really solid season. I was expecting him to kick on this season, but with Azpilicueta signing a new 2-year contract, Chalobah not having the best pre-season, he's now found himself pretty much at the bottom of the pecking order, you know, behind Silva, behind Koulibaly, behind Fofana, behind even Cucurella in that back line, and behind Azpilicueta as well. I don't think he should be behind Azpilicueta at all. He should definitely be ahead of him in the pecking order. But for someone of Chalobah's age and someone of Chalobah's quality, he should be playing a lot more than he is. And it looks like, you know, that unfortunately, for whatever reasons, that he's not going to get the minutes that he's looking for, the minutes that he needs at this stage in his career to push his game further on at Chelsea. So I can't really see that changing. Yes, Graham Potter, you know, likes to use young players, is prepared to chuck in young players, and you know, him coming in might be a plus for Chalobah, but ultimately I still can't see him getting many more minutes than he's currently getting, which is basically none. I mean, he could move ahead of Aspie in the pecking order under Potter, but I don't expect him to really be knocking on the door and starting a lot of games. So it'll be interesting to see what the club do with him. But I do think it's a shame because, you know, this is an academy graduate. You know, he's been out on multiple loans. He had his breakthrough season last season. You're expecting him to push on this season. It's just not quite gone the way that he would have hoped, or we as fans would have hoped for. So I think, to be honest, a move out on loan in January, perhaps a Premier League loan, or maybe a loan to one of Europe's top 5 leagues. There's plenty of suitors in there, maybe to the Bundesliga, maybe to Serie A. That could be a good thing for Trevor Chalobah, and he can come back in pre-season next season, hopefully, you know, stake a claim for his place in the side. But yeah, he's not getting the minutes he needs. So for me, it's probably best for him to move out on loan and go again from there. So that's kind of the latest in regards to Trevor Chalobah. Now, from one Chelsea player to another who is currently on loan, and that's Romelu Lukaku at Inter Milan. Obviously a 1-year loan deal. You know, quickly got rid of him after an absolutely disastrous spell the previous season. And Fabrizio Romano once again reporting that Romelu Lukaku is not even contemplating coming back to Chelsea. He's not considering returning, as he is only focused on Inter Milan. They are already discussing a 2nd-year loan deal to extend it. So yeah, as we all expected, to be honest, I think Lukaku's burnt a lot of bridges, or perhaps all his bridges, with the Chelsea fans. There was a few fans out there, myself included, wondering whether the sacking of Thomas Tuchel and Graham Potter coming in may change his mind, and Potter might want to view him, you know, have a look at him, maybe use him. But I think it's clear that Lukaku is not thinking about Chelsea at all, and that he will more than likely sign for another year at Inter Milan. He's not even done that well at Inter Milan this season. I think he's got a few goals, but he's been out injured for spells as well. Should be back for their next game, which I think is a big clash against Roma and Jose Mourinho. But Lukaku hasn't been tearing trees up in Serie A like he was in his previous spell. And yeah, I can't see any future for him at Chelsea. So I would expect once we get towards January, and certainly towards the summer, that loan deal will be extended. And I think Lukaku's Chelsea future is very clear. There isn't one, and he'll go on a 2nd loan, and he'll probably also them at a cut price, and it'll be one of the worst deals we've ever done in the club's history. But you know, these things happen sometimes, unfortunately. But yeah, Lukaku for me, time to move him on. He's been moved on. I cannot see him playing for Chelsea again, even under Graham Potter now. I just don't think that's kind of what he's looking to do. And I think we're going to look at forward options in January, look at forward options in the summer. And I just think, Lukaku is done at Chelsea now. And the sooner that second year loan is done, then the better as far as I'm concerned. But moving away from Romelu Lukaku now, Chelsea is still looking for a sporting director. So I can't bring you any updates in regards to that. Obviously, Christoph Freund performing a remarkable U-turn last week when it was all but agreed last Sunday that the contract was signed and he was going to come to Chelsea. Changed his mind. He's now staying at Salzburg. So no further news on that front. Chelsea still speaking to candidates, but nothing advanced to report. So maybe in the coming week, we might get some news on the sporting director. But as it stands right now, there's no additional news on that front. Now, moving on to another one. It's not really that important, but I thought I'd cover it anyway. That's Richarlison, obviously signed for Spurs. We know that Chelsea were kind of, in across a lot of forwards across the summer. Obviously, you've got Raheem Sterling linked to Gabriel Jesus, linked to obviously Richarlison as well. And this came out yesterday when Richarlison did an interview with the Evening Standard or Standard Sport that Chelsea made a bid for Richarlison during the night before his medicals with Tottenham. Richarlison had already an agreement with Spurs and same on club side, but Chelsea wanted to hijack the deal. Now, I think, look, Richarlison divides opinion. I think he's one of those that if he's on your team, you absolutely love him. If he's not on your team, you hate him. He's a shithouse, He's kind of, he plays up to it. But I think he's a good player, and I think he could have been very useful at Chelsea. I think at the £50 million reported, perhaps not. But this day and age, Brazilian international, Premier League proven, £50 million maybe not too bad at all to be spending that sort of money on Richarlison. I felt versatility, can play down the centre, can play wide, perhaps more versatile than Sterling, definitely better than Sterling through the middle. I wouldn't have been against this one, to be honest, in all honesty, but obviously it didn't happen. Chelsea did make an attempt to get it done, but he went to Spurs and the rest is history, and it doesn't really matter. But I think we could have done with a more versatile forward. Jesus would have been perfect, in my opinion, definitely better than Richarlison for me. But we ended up with Sterling, which is no problem at all, but could have done with someone who is equally comfortable down the middle as they are out wide. And Richarlison and Jesus definitely ticked those boxes more than Raheem Sterling did. Let's get into some more news then. Midfield. And, Moise Caicedo has been speaking or spoke kind of last week with some quotes that, he'd find it very difficult to turn down an offer from Chelsea if it arrived. Ben Jacobs reporting that offers are expected in January for Moise Caicedo, with several Premier League clubs, Chelsea included, preparing to make an offer. Liverpool and Chelsea keeping tabs on the situation. But as things stand, we saw a deadline day bid rejected for Ajax's Edson Alvarez. It remains to be seen whether Graham Potter and his Brighton recruitment specialist, Carl McCauley, change their view on that. Caicedo himself admitted no, he would turn down an offer from Chelsea or any other club like that. It'd be a dream to be in the best team in the world. Last year, he told The Athletic, my dream is to play for Manchester United. Antonio Valencia is an example to follow. So again, he's kind of said a few bits. Dream to play for United, wouldn't turn down an offer from Chelsea. Brighton would want at least £50 million, and Potter's own, and he was joking, valuation won't help matters if Chelsea do enter the race. When asked about a reported £42 million bid from Liverpool this summer, he replied, you'll probably get his boots for that from the chairman, maybe £100 million. So obviously he was joking, but those comments might not be so helpful if Chelsea do try to go and do business with Brighton for Moise Caicedo. The midfield situation is very interesting. Edson Alvarez, that was that deadline day bid. Will the club go back in for him? We definitely need midfield players. I mean, we could see Jorginho or Kante potentially move on as early as January. So it is important that we kind of sort these situations out, plan ahead. Don't wait till the summer till we potentially lose 2 on a 3 to then start doing business. If we can get some players in January, great. I expect us to return for Edson Alvarez, providing Graham Potter doesn't change his mind. Moise Caicedo would be a great option to come in. He's done really well at Brighton, attracting suitors from big clubs. I think he'd be great for that defensive midfield position. And Simon Phillips himself reporting that he expects, let me just find it now. Here we go. He expects that, moves to 1 or 2 Brighton players over the next 2 windows to be made from what he's told. And he's been very, very accurate across the summer window and just in general with his Chelsea news. So he could be looking at, well, maybe Trossard as well, and possibly Moise Caicedo. I mean, I'm always wary of signing too many players from a previous club when a new manager comes in, but Brighton have got some good players. I mean, if you can expect bids for a couple of players, I think it's obviously 2 from 3 of Robert Sanchez, the goalkeeper, Moise Caicedo, the midfield player, and then Trossard as well. But again, remains to be seen what happens in that position. I just wanted to round out this news video with an interesting story that broke yesterday. It was an exclusive from the Daily Mirror. Now, I don't know how accurate this is, but this story kind of is obviously come from somewhere. You wouldn't just completely make this up. And Pius Big Up was reporting that Chelsea have been in advanced discussions for 17-year-old Fulham striker Luke Harris, with an initial deal of 25 million plus 5 million add-ons on the cards. Harris scored a hat-trick against Chelsea under 21s and is in Wales's squad for Poland at aged 17. Now, I don't know anything about this guy. Obviously a good player. I think he made his Premier League debut for Fulham against Wolves this season. He's got good pedigree. Scored a hat-trick against the under 21s, which probably, made Chelsea's interest a little bit greater. Certainly put him on their radar further than perhaps he already was. But this seems a ridiculous amount of money to be spending on a 17-year-old. If you're spending 25, 30 million pounds on a 17-year-old, you're expecting them to be one of the best players in the world in their position at that age. And I'm sure this Harris guy is good, but I don't think he's that good. We've seen that Bowley's prepared to spend big money on stars for the future with bringing in, Cesare Casadei, Chukwuemeka, Slanina's come in as well. So, it wouldn't be against the trend in signing young players for the future as well as players for the present. But yeah, to me, that doesn't make sense to be spending that much money on someone who is completely unproven. Not really sure how good he is, but again, Chelsea under Bowley particularly are looking at signing young players. So, I mean, look, if he turns out that he's decent, it's a great deal, and no one really says anything about it. But yeah, for me right now, I don't think that's a deal worth pursuing, certainly for the money that's being reported in that report from the Mirror. But maybe we'll get some more news about that in the coming days and weeks. But yeah, that's just the news roundup from all the latest Chelsea news that's kind of appeared over the weekend. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please do smash the likes on it, and please leave your thoughts in the comments below. And also, please subscribe to the channel. And we'll be back, myself, George, and guests, etc., with plenty more live streams next week as we gear up to the return of Chelsea in Premier League action and 9 games across the month of October. So please stay tuned, guys. Smash the likes, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you again soon.